Hey, good morning from the Reseller Dojo. It's Mike Magoo, and this is On the Job with Magoo. And I want to do a continuing saga of my move from the Northeast down to Florida and the trials and tribulations of bringing my reselling business. And, I do have a video I think I'll put together with more tips and tricks, like the real pathway of how we put together the move and all of that. And, so I'll give you an example. One of the tips is we used Pods, or a brand like Pods. It wasn't Pods. Pods were very weird. The band I worked with were really good guys. Anyway, I don't want to go off the rails. They were cheaper. They were better. It was all good. But what I did was rent one pod for the house, which of course we filled anyway, a big one, and a slightly smaller one for the business alone. So now when I when I put in for my taxes, I can expense the business move, or I'll get whatever percentage the IRS offers for moving the business. If I combined it all as my family move, I get nothing. So, it's good to keep that separated. The business, I move the business, that's the business's expense. I move the home, that's my personal expense. And, if you can delineate that out and keep the receipts, there's really nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly legal as an expense with the IRS. So, and how it gets reported, or, how it benefits you, I don't know, but it does. So, beyond tips like that, I always try to get into sort of more of the psychological side, and this has been about sourcing. So one of the biggest surprises before I came down, I tried to do my homework. I was like, well, there's a little buggy. There's thrifts everywhere, there's Goodwill, there's Salvation Army, and there's a bunch of others. So I go, I should do fine, But even my thrifts back east were getting more expensive. My cost of goods had already gone up. My average cost per item was, I started at $3 or $2.50. It went up to $3.50 to $4, close to $4. I was even buying up to $5. I don't mean like every now and then when you grab a 12 or a 20 because it's $100 flip. I'm talking the regular bread and butter stuff that fills the bag. And I was, loading up and buying that stuff and doing fine. Kind of losing my train of thought here. And I was happy in New York with now I just gave myself away. It was New York with this, some of you call the honey hole or whatever. And I knew the tag switch days. I knew how to play the game with them. I knew what was going to last, what wasn't going to last. I knew when to take something. I knew when to leave it because it was going to go down and no one else was going to take it. I used to get a lot of really great shoes, which were, had a much higher average per sale return. So I got down here and I was all excited and I thought that would be great, and it hasn't. The stores have been terrible. The sales are not what they claim to be. The tag systems are wonky. The pricing is ridiculous. Now I have found one really cool store, but they have pretty limited selection. They're really sweet people and the money goes to a really good cause. And I love to go there. You do find some cool, legit vintage, and I do find a lot of decent pieces, but they also, anything they separate the price, they delineate a price by $5 or $3. $5 is if it has a red stripe, but they take a Sharpie and put a red stripe on the item tag. So it's you have to sell it that way, or spend some time with some alcohol or something else, acetone or whatever, getting it off. It's a pain in the ass. So I have a stack of 7 items right there that all need to have that red line taken off of them. But it's worth it if I take it off. I could probably sell it with it. Most people wouldn't even notice. But, a couple of rag and bone jeans, I'm going to clean those up, I mean, they're great, but except for that little red line. So these are the things I was like, why would somebody do that? Just like in New York, I used to complain about the Goodwill. When they had jackets, they would punch the tag into the shoulder. And half the tag, the hang tag, the plastic piece, would get stuck in the shoulder pad and not come all the way through. And you couldn't always get it out because it had that oblong end. So if you pulled it out, you were going to rip the seam of the jacket. And if you cut it out, sometimes it would leave a little point that somebody would notice when they're folding it or hanging it up or dry cleaning. It's you're ruining a great jacket just by putting a hang tag in a silly place. So you can't, our sourcing in the thrifting world is what it is. But I really ran up to a wall here, and I was getting kind of ticked off in a way. And I told my wife, this may not work. And then this is the first time in my life I hit the bins. And the bins that I go to here, it's not like New York. There's no signs that say no fighting, no biting, no eye gouging, in the, none of these, none of these, none of these. It's just like, it's kind of peaceful. It's this weird mix of flippers, Haitian ladies, who I don't know what they're shopping for. They attack everything and then they're done in 5 minutes. I don't really know what they're doing, but anyway, they don't bother me. College kids, looking for either flipping or looking for cool stuff to wear. People who are actually looking for cool stuff to wear. Some people come in by mistake thinking that it is a Goodwill store and not an outlet, which is very different. So if you're new, let me explain the difference very quickly. The Goodwill stores are, basically everything is on a hanger, everything is pre-picked, it's curated, it's sort of somewhat sorted in a section, by as best as can be by people who make $10 an hour and don't care that much, but it's basically kept neat and kept together, and it looks like a store, like a retail place with hangers and price tags, and you shop, and that's a Goodwill store. A Goodwill outlet, or the bins, it's glorified dumpster diving in some sense. They roll out these bins filled with all the stuff that comes back from the stores, and you basically stand around and you pay by the pound, and everybody stands around like ready to go, and it's like a 3, 2, 1, go, and then you could hit it for as long as you can. Some people clear it out real quick. Some people, I go later and I just throw all the junk, blankets or whatever, off the top, and then you find good stuff underneath. But at first I didn't like it, then I liked it. I found something I really thought was cool, then I liked it more. It's like, so it's working, and it's harder, but it's, the things I've been getting recently, like yesterday, it's basically it's the only thing that may sustain this business, because I spent close to $100 and I got about 65 items, or I'm not sure exactly what it was. I've mixed up the counts, but came to about $1.60 cost per item. So I'm dropping now from $4 to $1.60, and I think some of these are better. None of them are $50 or $60 or $100 flips. They're all going to sell between $15 to $30, which is fine with me. That's great. That sustains business, keeps the store moving, keeps me growing, and can pay bills. So that's fine. I'd rather live on a succession of steady sales, because that pushes the algorithm, that makes eBay happier, and it leaves less kind of dead wood in my store, which hurts the algorithm, and that kind of thing. So we all know those doofy tips. But as far as the move went, finding new sourcing was really, really hard. I was looking forward to going to the bins, but I'll be honest, if the bins didn't work out for me, I might be done, because there's not enough thrift to sustain that I could really fill up enough items. So my other plan was honestly to go back up north for a week or so, because in a week they'll have those sales twice where they switch the tags, like 75% off, and I'll hit the store 2 or 3 times during the week, load up my car, and then come back and have a lot of stuff to sell for a while. It seems crazy, and I don't know if I could cover the cost of that operations expense, but it is what it is. You have to source. I had friends years ago who drove to Mexico, bought blankets and pottery, brought it back, sold it at Englishtown Raceway in New Jersey, sold out every Saturday and Sunday, went back to Mexico, and they made great money. But gas was $1.50 a gallon back then, and everyone wasn't shooting each other, and you couldn't, had hassles with the border and all this and that. It was just, nobody cared. It was fine. It was like they checked them for drugs, they saw blankets and stuff, and he showed them whatever a picture of Englishtown, and the guy said, have a nice day, buenos dias. So, I don't know. It's a tough business. It's getting tougher. More people are in it. More people are knowing it. More people, I'll get 7 views for this video, but still, more people know what's going on. But, I have a lot. I think it's such a great business. I have 23 years with eBay, and I still have 100% feedback, thank God. And I've seen so many changes. I've seen so many of the weenie, dummy, criminal executives come and go. I've seen the good ones come and go. I've seen the stock go up and go down. I've owned it. I've seen it go from like a curated, garage sale to, now it's a retail distribution outlet if you want to sell 50,000 items a month. You can do it on eBay. They're happy to get that money. So it's a very different playing field. It's much harder to sell vintage than it used to be because the keywords don't care for vintage. They're not pointing out that groovy, intangible quality of a vintage piece that somebody who likes vintage or is looking for something understands. Algorithms can't explain it, So, and the keywords don't necessarily get it across. It's almost like somebody has to stumble across it. So there's a lot of things to discover and know. And the last thing I'll close with is that, when I reach this point where I'm at a point now where you sort of have to think about, do I double down on this? Or do I bail out of this and get a job? It's 90 something degrees always in this garage I'm working in. It's pretty horrible. I actually got this door screen today. I don't know if you can see it. And just to get some airflow. So I got the fan sucking air out like my grandfather used to do in New York. And I swore it didn't do much. And now I agree with him. It actually does a lot. It exhausts the hot air. And if I want, I can pull in a little cold air from the house. Or I use this fan, which I actually shut down for the video. It just had a audio OCD. So, yeah, if you're moving, plan well. Plan out the tax implications, whatever you expense for that move towards the business, apply it, use it, because it matters. And you know why it matters, particularly because I have to tell you, I just shut down for 3 weeks in August. And so I had some sales, but not a lot, because I was, when people can't get something shipped for 3 or 4 weeks, it kind of cuts your sales down. So there was that. And, it's also that slows down the algorithm again. Your sales kind of drop. And then also things didn't get where they were supposed to at exactly the right time. And I didn't manage the time away just right, missed by a few days. And in that few days, a few orders came that I couldn't ship because they were still in transit. So I took a beating on my seller report for late shipments. So there's a whole, lack of organization on on my part does not equal a crisis on my part. But unfortunately it does, because it's a one-man show. So my operations guy sucks and I have to pick up the slack. But that's one of my issues, and that's where I was going with this, is that do I double down and try to grow this thing? Particularly based on how much I enjoyed the bins here and what I was able to find. I think I really could sustain business on those bins if I have the similar kind of luck, even though it's bread and buttery stuff. So that's a thought. But the only way I can do that would be to hire somebody to help me with photos and I need to become the VP of this operation and not everything else. I just can't physically do everything, and I can't do it right, and I hate doing things wrong. So I have duplicate items in the shop. I can't get Poshmark up to speed at all. Tons of things in there that have been sold already. I have, less than half the items in Poshmark that I have in eBay, even though I've been adding more women's items. So I need to manage that at the same time as taking photos, measuring, polybagging, shipping, customer service, answering questions. I'm not talking to you, I'm preaching to the perverted or converted out there. I know, preaching to the choir. So, but that's the thing. Do I have the time to source and still do all this stuff in 90-degree heat in a garage? Or do I throw caution to the wind, hire some people, or one person or two people, to do some of this grunty stuff so that I can then source, which is what I do best, which is what I know. My skill and knowledge is to look in that bin or on those racks and decide what's profitable without pulling out an iPhone and comping everything. I just know. I need to know that pair of rag and bone jeans in excellent condition is a no-brainer. So do it. But that's something you learn. But, as far as shipping and packing and polybagging and measuring and photographing, can really teach anybody to do that. But it really eats into that monthly, cost, especially when you're doing promoted listings. And, they're already, my expenses are almost 49 or 45% with eBay now just to make sales. And I don't know if I'm just being an idiot or other people are in the same boat. But if you tell me you're putting down 1% or 2% promoted listings and selling a lot of stuff, your prices must be extraordinarily low, which is okay. I mean, everybody has their way of doing business, but I can't really sustain a business that way. So I kind of just have to pay the piper. And or that seems to be what works better in my situation. So anyway, I respect everybody who's out there digging, hustling, grinding, doing their own thing. Oh, it's a breeze. Gotta like that. Oh, thank you. And keep hustling. I think my plan right now is a couple more trips to. First of all, I got to photograph 65 things, which is going to kill me, but I'm going to get to it. And beyond that, I'm going to try to hit the bins again a couple more times and just seeing if I have, if I can keep coming back with 20, 30, 40 pieces, 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever pieces from the bins, and I feel comfortable with, and I only have to ditch a small percentage in either, stains, rips, whatever, because the bins, you don't get a lot of, that's the part of the bins that's fun. You got to be kind of quick. It's not that people, I don't know where I am, nobody's ripping stuff out of my hands. That seems kind of odd. People are pretty friendly for the most part that I've dealt with. The staff, hit or miss, but don't ask a lot of questions, and if you do, be super contrite, just almost like, yes, please, beg, because that's what they want. They don't want to be bothered, and if they're going to be bothered, they want you to be very polite about it. So, and they want you to look like a victim so that they feel like they're helping this poor schmuck and they can feel better about themselves. And it's just human nature, and it's okay because they're working hard doing a job. Only my job may be more bad than theirs half the time because I got to dig through that shit. They just got to fill a bin with it. But anyway, bins may be all I have left. They may be my Alamo. So, and look up history because I don't know if anybody knows what the Alamo is, but Custer's Last Stand. I don't know. Look up that one. Not Custard. Oh no, I want ice cream. Custer. General Custer. He lost. We lost at the Alamo too. So, is this my end of the road, or is this act 2 where I basically gas up and stomp the throttle? And I don't know if I have the energy. And there are a lot of logistical plans that I'd hoped for didn't really pan out as optimistically as I'd hoped. But, if I apply some gratitude and some hunger to everything, I can make it work. But there's decisions to be made and work to be done. So I'll let y'all go. Have a great day. Keep hustling, grinding. Love y'all. Appreciate all you do to share and to be part of this community. If you got anything out of this, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Helps tell the algorithm that this guy is only partially a schnook. He actually has a couple of interesting things to say. And I'd love to answer any questions, or if you want to know anything about how the movement went or what I'm doing to resource down here, in the Florida area, happy to discuss and talk about it. I'm a yapper, and this is the community I have. So I wish you all the best of luck, and stay well, stay healthy. And also, I lived in Maine for quite some time, and my heart's breaking right now for what's going on for the people in Lewiston and Auburn. So my prayers and just good, positive, loving, healing vibes are going out to them. That's a crazy situation. It's a small area, very tight knit, and it just shouldn't even happen at all. But I'm not going to get into that. So I'm just hoping it doesn't hit too close to home, but it hurts anyway. So anyway, peace out. Be well. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Try to make somebody happy today. Make somebody smile. And best of everything. Rock on. Peace out.